This is Talk Radio, WZZN.
1819 News.
An employee at a controversial charter school out of Birmingham has been placed on the official state textbook committee for determining future curriculum. Emily Eadings-Sandley works at the Magic City Acceptance Academy, which is designed to promote the LGBTQ ideology and lifestyle. Eadings-Sandley has also been placed by the Alabama State Department of Education on the textbook committee that consists of 23 members. By state law, 14 of those members are chosen by the state superintendent and approved by the State Board of Education. Governor and approved by the state Senate. The state law also requires that the person nominated to this textbook board demonstrate a post-high school level of knowledge in certain subjects and not be employed within education. Eadings-Sandley is a faculty member at the MCAA. Her name was not placed on the state confirmation records, nor in the Board of Education's resolution for confirmation. 1819 News reporter Craig Munger is pursuing more clarity on whether or not state law was followed in this process. School Superintendent Dr. Eric Mackey was out of town and unavailable to answer questions about this recent appointment. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Covenant Rescue Group seeks to directly support organizations and agencies that are fighting the global battle against human trafficking. They do this through funding, procuring, and advocating. You can go to covenantrescue.org for further details. They need your donations, guys. Hop on and donate.
A soldier at Fort Rucker was arrested and charged for breaking and entering and third-degree burglary. 30-year-old Brandon Emerson is accused of stealing $1,000 worth of equipment from the athletic complex at Enterprise State Community College. The theft occurred over the 4th of July weekend. Police in Brundage are searching for a missing 66-year-old man. Ricky Reeler was last seen on Martin Luther King Drive. He's described as black, 5'5", 150 pounds, with several health problems that require medication. I'm Andrea Tex.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This is Talk Radio, WZZN.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at All About Water. Crazy name, huh? Well, let me introduce you to them. All About Water is the top pond builder anywhere in the Tennessee Valley, and that includes remodeling or cleaning out existing ponds as well. They also have monthly maintenance plans for your pond. Don't have a pond? Well, how about a fountain or water feature for your property to bring that soothing sound of running water to your happy place? On the other hand, maybe you have water on your property that you don't want. Well, Ryan at All About Water is all about water, so he could take care of that as well. He has a background in fluid dynamics, and what that means is that he could take care of any water issue that you have. Finally, how about that irrigation system that you have or that you want? Well, they do installs and maintenance and repairs on those as well because they are all about water. Learn more at allaboutwaterllc.com. That's allaboutwaterllc.com.
You've been paying on that life insurance policy for years, but maybe you don't really need it anymore, or it's gotten a bit too expensive. Well, before you just let it expire, let Neighbors Insurance Solutions share with you some alternatives that you haven't considered. Don't throw away something that still may have great value for you. If you want to learn more about what Neighbors Insurance Solutions can do for you, call 256-763-7693. A death benefit could be a life benefit. Learn more at 256-763-7693.
At the Huntsville Sports Commission, we do sports. The Rocket City is your destination for world-class sports in North Alabama. The Huntsville Sports Commission brings elite tournaments, championships, and other exciting athletic events to our city. From youth leagues to national championships, we're driving tourism, boosting local business, and building a stronger, more active community. When you team up with us, we'll worry about the details so you don't have to. We do sports.
These days, saving time is important, and saving money is even more so. That's where Eagle Masonry and Insulation comes in. Over the years, Eagle has expanded their services to meet the needs of folks like you in our area. If you need masonry, brick, stone, or block work, Eagle should be your first call. They can even help if your property needs grading, erosion control, and Eagle can handle dirt haul-off. Call Eagle Masonry and Insulation today at 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time, and Eagle saves you money. your Fox 54 update.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible, but not everybody's going to get wet. We drop into the lower 70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Friday. Again, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s with the opportunity for a couple of passing showers.
Your Fox 54 forecast, only on Talk Radio WZZN. This is The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN. A compassionate, conservative, reasoned voice. Not just for today's headlines, but for issues that matter to you. Perspective from a distinguished career of service in the U.S. Army. Courage from hours in the pilot seat of a military helicopter in war and in peace. Knowledge of cultures from around the world. Experience from a lifetime of service to America. What matters to you, from the dinner table to the halls of power. Conservative, compassionate, reason. That's The Point.
Welcome, fellow Alabama friends, citizens, and patriots. Glad to have you with us on Thursday, July the 9th, on a cloudy yet hot day. This is The Point with Bill Crawford, along with producer extraordinaire Brian Temple.
Off to a fancy start here. Thank you, Bill.
Off to a fancy start today. And today on the show, we're going to have, as usual, we're going to have Eyes on Washington with Seth Burton. And in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking to one of my friends and the creator of the Dwyer Fire Charity, Miss Gail Dwyer. And also, I think, start of the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to have Jordan Dressman come give us a little bit of a chat about the weather.
Scheduled to appear.
Scheduled to appear. Always got to caveat that on live radio.
Well, you know, with the World Cup going on, the folks over at Fox 54 have had crazy schedules here lately. I'm glad, Kenesha was here Monday, but she was on the telephone, so I'm hoping that we can carve out about 5 minutes for Jordan coming up at the top of 3 o'clock hour.
Well, I hope we can too, because I love talking to him. But I want to talk about something that's a little bit personal to me today, and that is about what it takes to become an instructor at the United States Military Academy. Most people, when they think of West Point or Annapolis, for that matter, they think of cadets in gray uniforms marching around the plain, preparing to become Army officers. But you have to know this. Behind every successful cadet that has ever been, there is also a successful professional who trains those cadets. And what does it take to become a professor at West Point? The answer is really simple. You have to be the cream of the crop. You have to be excellent. Unlike most colleges, West Point has a blend of military officers and civilian professors. Military faculty members are selected through an extremely competitive Army selection process. They're not just assigned there like, most people in the military. You go somewhere 3 years and then you get another assignment. That doesn't work that way. They have to submit to become a professor, and they have to have a superb record both in the field and in leadership positions. Most every Army officer, male and female, who is selected to teach at West Point has already excelled, and normally most have commanded in troop leadership assignments. They have to have perfect evaluations, and they have to be smart. They have to show an intellectual ability. Before they ever step into a classroom, many are sent by the Army to earn an advanced master's degree and sometimes a doctorate. And they send these folks to some of the big-name schools that you've heard of: Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Princeton, Columbia, Duke, and also some of the military schools that grant master's degrees, such as Naval Postgraduate School. But when an officer arrives at West Point to be a teacher, they're not just standing in front of the classroom. They have a lot more to do than that. They conduct research. They advise student organizations. They provide mentorship for football and other programs, and they have to do that because they want to set the example so the cadets can see what it is like to be an officer. And there have been some pretty famous people who have taught at West Point and then went on to have stellar military careers. In the World War II era, we had George Patton, who was believe it or not, a fencing instructor, Douglas MacArthur, who was the superintendent, and General John J. Pershing, who was a physical fitness instructor. There have been also some people of recent fame, if you will, who were professors at West Point, such as H.R. McMaster, who rose to be a lieutenant general, and he also served as national security advisor. Dave Petraeus became a 4-star general, director of the CIA, and is still one of America's leading counterinsurgency thinkers. Martin Dempsey was the 18th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I saw him speak at my son's graduation. He actually didn't speak. He was a member of the West Point Glee Club, and he got up there and sang New York, New York, which was pretty cool. He said at the end of his singing, he said, you guys never would have remembered anything I have to say, but you'll remember this old 4-star general singing to you. And another one you may have heard of recently is General Stanley McChrystal, who commanded Joint Operations Command, which is Special Ops. So there have been quite a few famous people who have gone through West Point and taught and then went on to a successful career. And in West Point, one other reason that they really go a difficult selection process is the classes are very small, only about 20 people in every class, and you have to know each cadet personally. You have to help them with their assignments. You have to help them with their problem solving. And that is actually a method of instruction known as the Thayer method, named after the Academy's first superintendent, Sylvanus Thayer. So, why is this personal to me? I'll tell you why. My dad, as you may have known, who passed away last year, was a graduate of Annapolis. After he graduated from Annapolis, he put in some sea duty, was very successful commanding a ship, and then he went to what is called the Naval Postgraduate School, which is in Monterey, California. And he went there to get, at that time, what was called a master's in mathematics, and he returned to the Naval Academy, where he was a math professor, and he actually taught Roger Staubach calculus. Well, let's fast forward to modern days. In 2015, my son Barrett went to West Point, graduated from West Point, put a lot of time of combat duty in, more combat duty at one time than anybody in his class, had a successful command, and at a very early age, just as his grandfather had done, he was selected to go to the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, where he received the same degree my dad did, except it had changed. Now it's called ORSA, Operational Research and Systems Analytics, and did very well with that, and just recently is going to again follow in his grandfather's footsteps and go teach math at West Point. You say, well, Bill, you were such a hot dog. Why didn't you go teach there? I was offered to go teach there in Portuguese and, believe it or not, philosophy, but I turned them down because I decided I would rather be a helicopter pilot. So congratulations to all of those who have taught at West Point, and best wishes for those who will teach, especially one who's kind of close to me. And
congratulations, Professor Crawford, whichever one we're talking about.
Yeah, really.
But congratulations, Barrett. That's a big honor. We appreciate you, and we're proud of you.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break, and then
I know your old dad is.
Oh yeah, couldn't be prouder, and Mom too. All right, so Brian, let's go ahead and take a break. There we go.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
This is Bill Crawford, host of The Point on Talk Radio WZZN. I've recently had a stem cell procedure on my right knee from Dr. Charles Lee of Regenesis. Stem cells are harvested from your body and re-administered back into your body. This approach is painless, quick, and requires no lengthy rehab. My knee feels better already. Regenesis is located at 4025 Pepperwood Circle Southwest, Suite C, Huntsville, Alabama. Call 256-715-8193 or Google their website for more information. information.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
WASP Asset Software, delivered by our Next Level software team, helps you track every asset with ease, giving you total visibility over your tools, equipment, and IT assets from everywhere.
With WASP, our customers have reduced loss, improved accountability, and saved hours of tracking down what they own and where it is.
This is proven technology, and I urge you to ask about it.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well, try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
The ultimate golf experience is waiting for you at the Golfus. For a limited time, you can get an unlimited membership for only $99 a month. Hit balls on the range, play any of our 2,000 golf courses, have a graduation party, or host a corporate event. For all the details, go to thegolfus.com. We have 2 locations in Huntsville and a location soon coming to Hughes Road in Madison. That's thegolfus.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. I know your accident is the real thing, and they happen to real people.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. There's a lot of talk right now about bigger, but when you've had a wreck, is bigger better?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. Do you want to be just a case number?
With offices in Huntsville and Scottsboro, we take the time to help.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Welcome to Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market in Huntsville. From hand-cut premium steaks and chef-crafted Southern favorites to phenomenal made-from-scratch desserts and restaurant-quality meats you can take home. Every meal is made with passion and served with genuine Southern hospitality. Join us for lunch or dinner. Attend a monthly 5-course supper club or stop by to stock up your grill. You'll see that we deliver excellence from prep to plate. Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market, corner of Highway 72 East and Jordan Road. Come taste the difference.
Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
Dive. Welcome back, everyone. The sound of the submarine klaxon means only one thing. It's time for us to put our eyes on Washington with a citizen sailor and former candidate for the U.S. Senate, Seth Burton. Seth, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bill. It's great to be back after a wonderful celebration this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend, 250th birthday, and I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you did as well as I. And
absolutely.
And if you haven't heard this segment before, Seth, good Lord, tongue-tied today. Seth,
one of those days.
One of those days. Seth commanded 2 submarines in his career, and he retired as a captain in the Navy, and he also recently ran and made a very good admirable shot at becoming a U.S. Senator, and he gives us some of his time every week where we talk about a few topics. And in the, I guess, the vernacular of a submariner, we talk about some topics that are above the surface, and then we go below the surface. Above the surface is stuff that you're probably tracking and following on the news. And Seth, let us talk about above the surface right now. And our first topic is going to be one that's been very timely, and that is the birthright citizenship issue that was a 14th Amendment matter decided recently by the Supreme Court. But, Seth, tell our listeners what you think the court actually did.
Yeah, it's a very important topic of the day. It's one of the kind of the pillars of the Trump administration's trying to redefine some of the challenges he sees in the nation around illegal migration. So let's start with what the problem was he was trying to solve with this executive order 14160 that he issued last year when he took the presidency. He was very concerned that there's this boom of citizens in the United States that are coming. People come here illegally. They then have babies on U.S. soil, which by the 14th Amendment and the interpretation for the last 150 years has been that makes you a U.S. citizen. He's also very concerned about just even take immigration out of the equation, just transiting people that are here. There's a whole tourism industry of having babies coming into the U.S., from China, you just think of anyone that wants to potentially have a into America to where they can either try to transform America or damage America somehow in the future. So whether it's an enemy thinking or just, someone that wants to change how America is and what its past is and how they want to create a different future using democratic numbers through the number of people that are born. So he was trying to get at that because he really thought those elements of society and what was happening were abusing the original intent of the 14th Amendment. So what the Supreme Court decided recently was, and it was a follow-up from a case last June, where they ruled against nationwide injunctions. So some people that was caught up in the birthright citizenship discussion because there had been an injunction put against the president's executive order. And that's where they essentially said the district judges around the country couldn't put a nationwide injunction in unless it met higher standards. And we won't get into that. That's not the purpose of this conversation. But this was actually the Trump versus Barbara decision that came out about a week and a half ago, was where it really, ruled the executive order unconstitutional. That's the first and biggest thing that it did. It finally closed the question that had been out there for 18 months. And it found that, birth on U.S. soil is generally confers citizenship. They reaffirmed that. But they also got into the citizenship clause, and the words that we'll come back to and we can discuss here in a few minutes is subject to the jurisdiction of. That was one of the big parts of it that they ruled on, and there was actually some dissent there from Justice Kavanaugh, who ruled with majority in most of it, but didn't rule with them in that particular situation. So he kind of gave an option for the future. And it also reaffirmed the precedence of a case from 1898 that kind of established this interpretation of birthright citizenship. And it also said that Congress can't just simply redefine that it would have to be a constitutional amendment, which also Justice Kavanaugh didn't agree with that on. So that's really what they ruled on. It is unconstitutional. That's kind of the big findings they had from it. And then we can get into what Justice Kavanaugh kind of dissented from the majority on if you want there, but I'll just pause and see if you have some follow-up. Over.
Yeah, I do have some follow-ups on that, and I do want to get into the dissenting opinion a little bit, but a general question I would have just on a Supreme Court decision which has a dissenting opinion. Does the dissenting opinion really mean anything? Is that really something that people can say, well, this one guy didn't agree with it, and here's why he didn't, but it's obviously the majority rule. So how important is a dissenting opinion?
I think they're very important, and that's why they do them, because it allows a minority vote on the highest court in the land to really lay out a judicial argument that could affect interpretations of the law later when there's different perspectives brought to bear. So I think they're very important. And Justice Kavanaugh's was really interesting here because he agreed with the majority opinion that that the executive order. I'm an engineer. I keep thinking electrical stuff, talking about thinking hypersonic missiles here. The executive order was unconstitutional, but he dissented in a different part of it where it got into this subject of what the characterization of citizenship was, and that's what was really unique because you had had a portion, 3 justices that voted totally against it. Kavanaugh voted for some, against the other, and then you had the majority that actually carried the day. But to answer your question, I think dissenting opinions, while they might not mean much to everyday citizens because it does, the rules, the majority rules, and the ruling will come out, and that will be the law. It is very important for future cases.
Well, now let's talk about the one sentence you mentioned where I do believe some of his dissenting opinion had to do with subject to the let me see if I can get this, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Tell us your take on what that means and how that could lead to some sort of a congressional legislative solution, whatever you want to call it, to this matter.
Right. Yeah, those 5 words, it shows you how nuanced, the law of the land becomes, and what this Constitution really means, because those words are really what were driving this decision before the court. Because on one side, you have to say, you have the position that, well, if anybody's on U.S. soil, then they're subject to the jurisdiction of our laws, and that's what the majority ruled. But then the other portion of it is if you're here illegally and you're doing things against outside the laws of the land, then you shouldn't be able to earn the right of citizenship just because you have a child here while you're outside the law, essentially. So that's where there's 2 sides of it, and it can be argued either way because the words are the words, and you can interpret them differently, and that's how you end up with 2 very, very intelligent groups thinking differently on it.
So let me ask you a question on that. Yeah. So what you're saying is somebody comes over here as a tourist, specifically to have a child, and they have the child, and the child now would be a citizen, but there would be an issue because I think I understand what you're saying is that the parents would not be subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S., or am I getting that wrong?
You're getting it right, but that's where the debate comes in because the people that are in the majority here would argue that they're still under jurisdiction of U.S. law and the Constitution while they're on U.S. soil. The other side of the coin would say, okay, yes, they're under, if they commit a crime here, they're under the jurisdiction, but they're not a citizen of the U.S. They're here temporarily, so they should not be able to bestow U.S. citizenship on what should be a Chinese national that was just here for a month-long vacation to have a baby. And that is very big. It's a big industry out in the West Coast. There's a lot of tourists coming from Asia to come have babies in the U.S. And so that to me, in my opinion, I can see where the debate comes. But to me, we have to be smart enough as Americans to, okay, what do we want to grant citizenship based on? And that just does not, in my mind, meet the what's best for the U.S. sort of perspective. And I think they're using loopholes in our interpretation of law to create U.S. citizens that should not exist. We can't just go to China and become a Chinese citizen because we just have a child there.
So now what would be a legislative alternative? I mean, obviously one alternative is without doubt a constitutional amendment, but in my humble opinion, that ain't going to happen. So what would be a legislative way that this could be done that would even remotely stand a chance of passing through Congress?
Yeah, and that's where Kavanaugh really dissented with the majority on this because he was saying we should not preclude other considerations. The majority went with, it's been determined, this is what the citizenship clause means. He actually said, no, we're binding the hands of Congress and the people's representatives. And if the people see this as an important thing to close a few loopholes on, it should be up to Congress to hear the people, pass a law that then gets at what does the meaning subject to the jurisdiction of. Congress could set the requirements for what the jurisdiction word means here. When are you under the jurisdiction of the United States? And then that could separately be tested by the court as whether it is constitutional or not. So he essentially said, no, this should actually go back and this is to your earlier question, this, even though the court has decided by majority, the Congress still has every right to do as an equal and co-equal branch to go pass a law that clarifies what that subject to the jurisdiction of clause means. And then that would have to be tested by the Supreme Court again.
So one thing I'm still not clear on. So again, to my example, somebody comes over here as a tourist. They have a kid. The parents, they don't become citizens. The kid does. So who are we talking about being subject to the jurisdiction of the law? Is it the parents or the kid?
It's the person that's born.
Okay.
It would be, you're talking about the person that's born, and what happens is those parents then, because and that's why they're called anchor babies. Once you have a member of that's a citizen of the U.S., they have rights then to have immediate family members to have access to potential citizenship as well. And so it becomes a chain reaction then of once one person is a citizen, other people can gain rights and access as well.
So let me go ahead quickly and make you into senator, which you tried to do and gave it a great shot.
Yeah.
How would you write a law? How would you craft something to change this?
Yeah, I would look at those areas, those loopholes where I think people are abusing what is a very, I love our Constitution, but they're words that are open to interpretation. I would, as a senator, look to articulate in statutory law clarity on what subject to the jurisdiction of the United States really means in the case of a citizen being born, a person being born on U.S. soil. That way, that would then clarify what the Constitution is meaning in that case. And then it would still be a fight in the Supreme Court because there's going to be a lot of people against that. But I would at least look for ways, because again, I'm all about what's best for our republic, and I do think there's abuses to our system that is making us vulnerable moving forward to nefarious actors. Over.
All right, so let's see if we can close the book on this. So it seems to me, do you see anything happening in Washington to further this, or is this issue over for quite some time?
I think it's pretty settled for some time at this point because there's so many other things. I mean, the president did a great job of putting it in front of, on the national stage, making the Supreme Court, and Congress debate this. But I just don't see Congress taking this up. It would be a political lightning rod. I don't see them being willing to go take this on personally.
All right. Well, hey, that's why we have you on. We want to hear what you think. Yeah. And so let's stay above the surface and a subject you and I have discussed in great depth, and that's the memorandum of, I call it misunderstanding, which obviously didn't carry any water. But is the war back on, or is the war over? How would you answer that?
Well, we've talked about war and what that means before. And, last time we talked about this, we talked about how hard it was in a few key areas of the MOU, a few key points that was going to be, whether it was around the freeing of assets and the investment plan of neighboring nations, which is only getting harder when they keep getting attacked by Iran, but also the enrichment uranium position. So ultimately, the war it's the scale of war and where you are on the spectrum of conflict. The war is not over in my mind. We can say it is, but it's still at a low intensity level. There's attacks happening. We had 3 attacks in the Straits of Hormuz. We've counterattacked against air and drone systems in Iran. So there's still what I see playing out, because I know we don't have time to go into a lot of detail on it. I see it very much. Everyone's going to want to hold on to we're negotiating instead of having 60 days of a ceasefire. We're going to probably have low-level conflict during that kind of tries to position power on each side to drive the negotiations, because you can use those attacks and how the results they're getting both in public opinion and on the ground with capability reductions that can be used to leverage negotiations. And so I see us until we either get to an agreement here in 60 days. I just think there'll still be low level of conflict.
Well, let me ask you what I would term my $64 question. I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and I know you, at least in your days as a submariner, have been up close and personal to nuclear stuff.
Yes.
Can Iran, if we just left them alone, said we're through with you guys, can they actually build a nuclear bomb? Let me put it this way. Do you think they have the capability to rapidly put one together? Because in my limited knowledge of some of the nuclear stuff I studied at West Point and during my career, it's not like just, okay, we got the uranium, here we go, let's make one. It's a little more complicated than that, isn't it?
Yes, it's much more complicated. It's a very, very, honestly, if you're tracking the challenges in our own country right now, this is a nuclear superpower. We are struggling to make nuclear weapons, it requires such a infrastructure and level of expertise and understanding of how nuclear energy works in that very, very quick moment to create a nuclear detonation, and what all the pieces of the puzzle have to come together to do it. It's very hard, and so I think the chances, while we can't ever, it's one of those low probability, high consequence events. Just because it's a low probability that they can do it, and I think it would be very hard unless they have the right people advising them. They would have to have external help to do it. I don't think they have the internal know-how to do it. But it's such a high consequence thing, we can't ignore it either. So that's where it falls on the spectrum of, to answer your question, I think it's low probability that they would develop one because it's just hard. But the chance of them doing it, if they did succeed with some external covert help, then what they could do to Israel and other partners in the region would be devastating.
Well, Seth, my question is sometime back we trumpeted the fact that we had wiped out all of their nuclear capability, and now we're worried they're going to build a bomb. And to me, It sounds like you're trying to have it both ways. So what
it is?
I'd love your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, I struggle with that too, Brian, because it's what gets said in the press is obviously to shape public opinion and to shape support and to shape action. So that it's not always going to reflect reality. Let's put it that way. And so I think the whole entrance into this to begin with, based on how hard it is, I know how hard it is to make a nuclear weapon. I've always questioned why we did it to begin with. But again, I've always deferred that they have more intelligence in D.C. than I have at this point when I'm not on the inside.
Right.
Because it's purely, Brian, a mixed signal to me that we succeeded so greatly last year with the airstrikes, and now we've decimated their military, and yet we're still worried about them in 6 months building a nuclear weapon.
Well,
and that's where you get to. Go ahead.
Well, my thing is one of the sources I don't treat as accurate anyway, but just because there are an endless stream of conflicting statements. But I was just wondering if there is one good source to kind of get like a more true bearing of what's really happening.
Yeah. I wish I could answer that question. That gets so deep into the intelligence world, and even in the intelligence world, there's misinformation, and so I don't know the real answer on how close they are to do it a year ago or now. I just know it's super hard, and ultimately the principle that I fall back on in this case is they have a regime that hates the West. They hate Christendom. They hate anything that's non-Islam, and so they have a just a hatred for us. And
they've got the drive for it,
yeah. So we have to be cautious when we're dealing with people like that, because they don't hide their hatred for us and their desire to remove us from the earth.
Well, I know one thing's for sure: me and Bill are not enriching uranium.
No,
that's the only I can say without the shadow of a doubt we're not doing it. Everybody else, okay, maybe, but I know we are not.
Well, hey, Sketh, let me ask one more question before we go to break, if you can answer this quickly. One thing I wonder is, with all the surveillance capabilities we have with our satellites, I would just have to think that somebody could say, hey, Mr. Iranian leader, we're going to have geosynchronous satellites orbiting over you from now till the end of time. The moment we see one little thing that looks like you're doing something we don't like, all hell is going to break loose. What would be wrong with that little theory?
Well, I'm sure that they already think that and assume that, because everyone thinks the satellite capability can just give you anything. But there are just, when practicality of it, physics matters, and when you move things underground, move things underwater, it is much easier to do covert operations. That's why submarines are so effective. They're just off the grid, and people can't find them with it's really hard technology. And same thing with underground covert activities. We have them in our own country. Every major country has things that go on underground because it's so hard. Satellites just can't get there. They can't see what you're doing. But ultimately, I think Iran would feel that that pressure. They do already. They know that we're going to respond, especially with a president like this. But they actually use that sometimes to their advantage in worldwide, international relations and trying to drive public opinion.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go below the surface right now after we take a break, and we're going to come back and continue our conversation with Sailor Citizen, former Senate candidate Seth Burton. So we'll take a break and come right back.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
Bill Crawford here for the Regenesis Stem Cell Center, the place to go for golfers' elbow pain. Traditional treatments require significant time away from the golf course and often don't work. Dr. Charles Lee can treat golfers' elbow using platelet-rich plasma extracted from the patient's blood and get you back on the golf course after a 2-hour visit. Golfers' elbow can be permanently eliminated for a fixed price of $585. Golf season is here. Enjoy pain-free golf with just one visit to Regenesis.
Tom Abraham here for my longtime friend Mike Owen of Owen Home Appliance. Mike has over 25 years experience in the appliance industry, and since 2017, Owen Home Appliance has served customers in the Tennessee Valley with a focus on quality products, affordable prices, and excellent customer service. Owen Home Appliance prides themselves on community involvement as well, sponsoring local teams and events while making sure that you get the right appliance at the right price. Visit their highly interactive showroom in Lacey Springs, just 8 miles south of the river on 231.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
Have you tried indoor golf yet? You need to check out The Golfus. The Golfus is Huntsville's newest, nicest, and only multi-location indoor golf venue. Spend an hour on the virtual range working on your game or play more than 2,000 golf courses. Our grand opening pricing makes us the best value in town. And if you really love it, grab a limited time, unlimited golf membership for only $99 a month. Get all of the details at thegolfus.com.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Jen with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Y'all need to come join us. We have so many fun things every night of the week. From Monday night, steak night, Tuesday night, karaoke, Wednesday night, we have Singo Bingo, Thursday night is bike night. Of course, we've got live music on the weekends, so y'all come join us. Meridian Street Crossing, we've got Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Come on next door to the Rocket City Honky Tonk, where we've got honky tonk music all night long. Y'all come join us. We'd love to see you.
Your Fox 54 update.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible, but not everybody's going to get wet. We drop into the lower 70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Friday. Again, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s with the opportunity for a couple of passing showers.
Your Fox 54 forecast. Only on Talk Radio WZZN.
Dive. Let's now go below the surface with former submarine commander and senatorial candidate and friend of the show, Seth Burton. And Seth, one thing that's happening now that's kind of under the surface, below the radar, is the fact that the appropriations process is kind of returning to normal. Tell us why that's important.
Yeah, this is one of the things I like to talk about because it impacts every American, and they don't even really feel it and know it, and we never hear people talking about it. Yet when Speaker Johnson took over as Speaker, one of the things that he committed to was trying to restore regular order. So I'll just start with what is it? When we say regular order, what does that even mean? Why this is so important is because one of the most fundamental roles of the Congress is, and the biggest authority that the founders gave them in the Constitution was the power of the purse, appropriation of federal investments, federal spending. And so that is one of the key things they do. We see them do a lot of other stuff, but that is the foundation because that's what funds the government, funds our security, funds our roads, everything that's public. And so regular order is the whole concept of our representatives going in front of us in public and establishing appropriations bills. Right now in the model we have, there's 12 of them. And then they have to go through a hearings process at the committee level, the subcommittee, the committee level, go through public debate periods, amendments, marks. They do all this negotiation. And that's supposed to be that healthy friction to get to what does this agency, for example, the Department of War, what does this agency really need to do to execute the mission that the nation and the people need it to do. And ultimately it culminates in a vote, theoretically before, September 30th, to where it can go to the president after both houses agree to it. It usually goes to a conference committee sort of thing. And then the president signs it, it becomes the appropriations law. And now you have money starting October 1st to go into the next year. Unfortunately, we don't do that. We haven't been doing it. In fact, we haven't passed all 12 bills before September 30th since 1997. So we're talking almost 3 decades since we've done it. So that's what we're trying to do is get back to regular order. We've made that step. This year was the first year. We did the big, beautiful bill last year, and that was kind of like to get everything reset. And then the commitment was to get to regular order and try to bring those individual appropriations bills before the Congress and get them voted on instead of using these omnibus spending bills, the continuing resolutions all the time that really have caused so much problems. Over.
Well, continuing resolutions, just for those in the listening audience who say, what's that? What's the big deal there? Well, the big deal, I know, Seth, you walked in this world and I walked in it for many, many years. Yep. If you are in the defense industry and you're trying to do something new, if you have a continuing resolution, you can't do anything new. You just have to continue on with the status quo. So is it on your Seth Burton personal radar that you think this year we might actually have a budget by September 30th that can be signed and enacted and make things happen like they're supposed to?
I will be highly surprised if we do. I know that's the goal, and that's what they're going to shoot for. What I would anticipate is there will be certain appropriations bills that do get over the threshold before September 30th, whether it's 5, 6, 7 of them, and then there'll probably be a continuing resolution that gives funding for the other agencies that don't get the appropriations bills across the finish line. But ultimately, it's very important. Even if we don't succeed this year, we need to get as far as we can this year, and the next year try to take the next step forward. And hopefully, people that care about that will be in control of Congress, and they'll keep pushing for it. Because what happens, this is where it's so important, is you don't get, when you have so much, when you put $4 trillion, $5 trillion of spending into one big omnibus bill, there's not a person on this earth that can go through that and see where the accountability is, see where the transparency is, where the oversight is. So you just lose all of that. Whereas if you have individual appropriations bills, now I can look to a secretary of a department, say, this is your money, this is what you're authorized to do, this is what we debated, these are all the things that we expect you to do with it, and then we're going to provide oversight to you to go do it. And so we got to keep pushing to that, because if you look at over the last 30 years, just an example, we were at 45% debt to GDP ratio in 1997, the last time we actually did this right. And now we're over 120% debt to GDP ratio. So how we're doing it is not helping us from a national debt point of view. And I would argue a lot of Americans aren't satisfied with the results we get with the amount of money we're spending.
Well, now let me ask you a question, because you just said something that I thought, I was a pretty sharp stick in the shed, but maybe there's something I'm missing. So of the 12 individual appropriation packages, can they pass separately? I didn't know that.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why you remember, I guess it was probably springtime, you were having the whole over ICE, all the chaos over ICE. They were holding up the Department of Homeland Security's appropriation. So pretty much the rest of the government was funded, and that was the only portion of the government that kept going through these cyclic shutdowns, every 2 weeks. And so, yes, the answer to you is, you could get the Department of War's, appropriation bill over to where we have funding for FY27, but none of the others, and they do a CR for the other 11 appropriations. So it could be any mixture of it, and it gets really complicated. That's why the best thing to do. Here's an interesting fact for you, too, before I forget to tell you. We actually, in 1970, I think 4 time frame, when we modernized our budget process, they actually extended, because the fiscal year used to start on 1st of July, but new Congresses would come in January. They only had 6 months to get a new budget approved. So they actually added 3 months, and that's why our fiscal year starts in October 1st now, and yet we get the budgets done less often now than we did back then when it was only 6 months. So it's kind of an irony that they gave themselves more time and they're worse at it now.
Yeah. One of the best explanations I ever heard about this, a continuing resolution is when you're in college and you don't look at your bank account, you just keep spending. And an appropriations is when you go to your dad for money. And so,
that's a great analogy.
And so we all realize how we could have all made better choices as young people. Not speaking for all of them, but for a lot of us, myself included, could have made better choices with money as we're younger. And I think we're dealing with a problem that just people are not willing to step up and do what they're supposed to be doing.
So, but Seth, what you're saying is, though, you feel that we're starting to head in that right direction, where we're getting closer and closer to possibly having all 12 passed by September 30th.
Yeah, we're going the right direction, Bill. The problem is it's all a power game. And so this year, while the Republicans are in power, the Democrats are going to do everything they can to not get them across the finish line by September 30th and to go into a CR mindset, because then they have more leverage. Now you're operating by 2-week timelines, the government shutdowns, and so the bargaining chips go up. And so unfortunately, we don't have a bunch of senators and congressmen that truly want to do what's best for America. They want to do what's best for their power and their districts and the money that's coming to them. So they like to have these leverage points, and that's why they rarely go the right direction. But we can't give up hope. So we have to get people there that actually care about regular order and will go and do things on time, because, again, breaking it down into individual appropriations bills is so important for, like, the watchdogs of the world, the different think tanks of the world, to truly look at and help Congress provide that oversight of how federal government spending is occurring. Page omnibus bills, it's overwhelming, and you can imagine how hard it is for people to just try to wade through all that and see whether we're following the law and spending where we're supposed to spend and what we're really getting for our investment from each agency.
Well, I dare say you tag this one as below the surface. I would say it is so far below the surface. I'm thinking to the some of the things they used to do on Jay Leno and David Letterman, where they'd have somebody outside the studio asking somebody just a random question. Nobody would get this. Nobody would get this at all. Nobody.
No one knows what regular order is. I totally agree, and yet that's why I opened it up at the start. It's one of the most important things our Congress does is the appropriations of money for the government to do its duties, and yet that's what they fail on every year by September 30th. So we just have to change the mindset, and you have to change the mindset by sending different types of people there. And as we've talked before, the political environment we're in just ends up with the wrong people in D.C.
All right. Well, hey, I know one that I wish would have been in there, and we're going to have to let you go right now. We will talk to you not next week. I'll be out, but the week after that. And that's Seth Burton. Seth, thanks for your time today, as always.
Absolutely. And you guys have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you. That's Seth Burton, former candidate for Senate. Brian, what do we need to do?
Well, we're chock full of content today. We're going to come back in about 60 seconds, and we'll tell you about the next hour coming up.
There you go.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
This is Bill Crawford, host of The Point on Talk Radio WZZN. I've recently had a stem cell procedure on my right knee from Dr. Charles Lee of Regenesis. Stem cells are harvested from your body and re-administered back into your body. This approach is painless, quick, and requires no lengthy rehab. My knee feels better already. Regenesis is located at 4025 Pepperwood Circle Southwest, Suite C, Huntsville, Alabama. Call 256-715-8193 or Google their website for more information.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the Valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
He's still a soldier. His blood runs red, white, and blue.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to wrap up this hour of The Point with Bill Crawford and Brian Temple. We just had Seth Burton, who ran a very decent campaign for Senate. Probably one of the most impressive people I've talked to in my life. And we want to keep his name out there because he's the kind of man that would make a good dent in what needs to happen good in this country. So we're glad to have Seth with us. And also, I took a little bit of liberty, being the host of the show, to talk a little bit about the fact that my son is now going to be a math professor at West Point. And
Professor Crawford.
Professor
Good job,
Crawford.
Eric.
Yeah. That's a pretty good thing. And something I couldn't accomplish. Rapidly, my son is eclipsing all my achievements. So that's what you want.
Isn't that what you want as a dad?
That's exactly what you want. And his sister is also. So, hey, folks, we're going to come back. We'll have a little bit of weather talk with Jordan Dressman, and then we're going to talk to Gail Dwyer of the Dwyer Fire Foundation, and should be interesting. Back soon.
HD 97.7.2, WZZN FM Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. Talk Radio WZZN.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The major averages are rising in afternoon trading as investors set aside jitters over a flare-up in U.S.-Iran tensions. Memory and chip stocks are surging again. However, software stocks are slipping on AI disruption jitters. Shares of IBM and Microsoft are falling following news that Starbucks is reportedly developing AI-powered software that could replace several enterprise applications currently supplied by Microsoft and IBM. The focus remains on the AI trade ahead of South Korean memory chip giant SK Hynix's highly anticipated debut tomorrow on the NASDAQ. The Magnificent Seven big cap tech stocks are mostly lower, led by Alphabet. And according to Morgan Stanley, the Magnificent Seven stocks are now trading at their cheapest valuation relative to the S&P 500 in more than a decade. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
You're probably listening to this in your car, so let me ask you, would you drive without insurance? Of course not. So why is your retirement portfolio unprotected? Gold is portfolio insurance. It helps de-risk your savings when markets get unpredictable. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of Americans do exactly that, with no high-pressure sales and thousands of 5-star reviews. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making any investment decision.
This is Talk Radio, WCZN.
1819 News.
A Montgomery County Circuit Court judge has dismissed the lawsuit filed against Tommy Tuberville, which challenges his residency qualifications to run in the governor's race. Judge Brooke Reed dismissed the case on the grounds that she does not have jurisdiction over this issue. In the judge's ruling, she made a final order so that an appeal could be immediately filed. This means the Alabama Supreme Court would be the next court to possibly consider this case. Barry Ragsdale is the plaintiff in the lawsuit that was filed. There has been no word at this point on what Ragsdale intends to do. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Where I was living was not a great place to live anymore. I began to pray for a place to go, praying for all of these things that a 9-year-old would want. I wanted horses, big house with a bunch of people my age. I wanted parents. I wanted a mom and a dad. Before I even prayed it, the Lord had already answered my prayer with the Big Oak Ranch. Who would that 9-year-old be if she never came to the Big Oak Ranch? I would be trying to fight for survival instead of fighting to break a cycle.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
A man accused of causing a crash that killed 3 teenagers in Coleman County back in 2024 has reached a plea deal with the district attorney, Champ Crocker. Family members of the teens that were killed are expressing shock that such a plea deal has emerged. They tell 1819 News they were informed such a deal would not be sought and that the driver would head to trial. 23-year-old Ramon Maldonado Vasquez is facing reckless murder charges for driving at high speeds while under the influence of alcohol, with Dalen Jennings, Caden Britt, and Evan Majano as his passengers. The state indicates that sentencing will come as the next step in this case, and they're recommending 25 years. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This is Talk Radio, WCZN.
This summer, we make HVAC history as Sensagreen Heating, Cooling, and Insulation celebrates our country's 250th birthday. Happy birthday, America! In honor of crossing the Delaware River and kicking Cornwallis out of Yorktown, Sensagreen now offers $1,776 off new HVAC systems. Give me liberty and a new HVAC smart system this summer at Sensagreen with Bryant. Whatever it takes, just like our founding fathers. USA! USA! USA!
Alabama license number 12705/52808.
AL cert number 21014.
Welcome into the hottest and coolest game show around called The Freeze. Today's contestant, Bob. Bob, can you tell me the heating and air business that provides free service with repair?
Is it Talent Heating and Air Conditioning?
Can you tell me which heating and air business provides free second opinions?
Talent Heating and Air Conditioning.
You are our grand prize winner. You have won a visit from the #1 heating and air business in the Tennessee Valley.
Talent Talent Heating and Air Conditioning?
That's right. Talent Heating and Air is coming to you.
This is Thomas with Talent Heating and Air Conditioning, and you don't have to win a game show to use us. We have free second opinions year-round, and this summer we're doing free service calls with a repair. So just remember, call Talent Heating and Air Conditioning at 256-503-4490 or visit us on our website at talenthvac.com.
The Orthopedic Center. It's in the name. TOC, the premier choice for all your orthopedic needs. With over 40 physicians and 20 centers of excellence, TOC is the name to trust for complete, expert orthopedic care. And that word center, we mean it. With more than a dozen locations across North Alabama and the Tennessee Valley, TOC is in your community whenever you need us. As the state's largest orthopedic practice, TOC is built on trust. Trust we've earned with every patient we serve. You can see that trust on the field, too. As the official sports medicine provider for the Huntsville Havoc, Huntsville City Football Club, Oakwood and Alabama A&M universities, thousands of athletes and coaches count on TOC to keep them in the game. From student athletes to unexpected injuries, our urgent ortho clinics offer prompt, expert care, no appointment necessary. So remember, when it comes to your health and mobility, trust the name that says it all. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Your Fox 54 update.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible, but not everybody's going to get wet. We drop into the lower 70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Friday. Again, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s with the opportunity for a couple of passing showers.
Your Fox 54 forecast. Only on Talk Radio WZZN. This is The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN. A compassionate, conservative, reasoned voice. Not just for today's headlines, but for issues that matter to you. Perspective from a distinguished career of service in the U.S. Army. Courage from hours in the pilot seat of a military helicopter in war and in peace. Knowledge of cultures from around the world. Experience from a lifetime of service to America. What matters to you, from the dinner table to the halls of power. Conservative, compassionate, reason. That's The Point.
Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you with us today on Talk Radio WZZN here on The Point with Bill Crawford and producer Brian Temple. We're efforting to raise Jordan Dressman on the phone. He normally comes on and talks to us at this time.
Well, you know, their schedule's been all messed up because they've been carrying so many of the World Cup games. So I can only imagine that he's just absolutely covered up with stuff to do and just has let time get away from him. Now, of course, you know, that one pays his bills. This one is just him shucking and jiving with us. So I'm not going to be mad that he's busy.
No, that's totally okay. We understand that. And he also might be a little bit busy making sure he has an accurate forecast.
Yeah, gosh, I hope so. Looking at his forecaster in the morning, rush this morning on the Fox 54 app, we're going to look at for, you know, typical July weather in Alabama, hot and muggy, storms in the afternoon. Just, you know, get ready for that till about Thanksgiving, I guess.
Yeah, and the storms in the afternoon, that's the one part I don't like because that's when I'm not here and that's when it starts raining, and that's not a thing I like to see in the afternoon. So,
well, we need to get Jordan to schedule that better so it rains while you're here and it's done when you leave.
Yeah, we'll have to get on to him.
He didn't consult with you at all, did he?
No, he didn't, and we're going to have to get on to him about that.
I'll
so
have to cut his pay.
Yeah, cut his pay. I don't think you can divide zero, or I don't think.
Can you cut a zero in half?
I don't know. I don't think you can. Zero from zero is zero, so who knows?
Billy Preston taught us that.
That's
nothing
right.
From nothing leaves nothing.
That's exact. You know, Billy Preston was the first musical guest on the original Saturday Night Live.
Really?
And well, there were two on the first Saturday Night Live. One was Billy Preston, and he sang "Nothing from Nothing Leaves Nothing," and the other was Janice Ian, who had a guitar solo called "At 17." That's a little. my mind is filled with useless information.
Well, it's filled.
It's filled. Well, let's talk about maybe some real information. It's some of the stuff that's going on in the news right now. And, I've been reading a lot of articles where Huntsville is making a resurgence as a music place in this country. It's not Nashville, it's not Austin, it's not New Orleans, and it's not Los Angeles, but our city is making efforts to amphitheater, and the Orion Amphitheater is booming. There are artists of national renown who come out there all the time. There's music stuff going on downtown all over the place. So who knows what's going to happen with Huntsville? I don't think we're there, but I'm seeing more and more articles about that. And Huntsville also now has they have a member of their staff on the Huntsville City that is actually their director of music development. So much more to happen on that. A couple of other things that are happening in the news. We were talking a little bit about Seth with the war in Iran and what's going to happen with that. Well, recently there has been some talk of an attack on Karg Island. Karg Island is where 90%, it's off the coast of Iran, it's where 90% of their commerce is conducted. All of their crude oil goes through there. We bombed it a little bit last night and have stated that we're going to do it again. And the spokesperson for the Iranian parliament said, if you come, we are waiting for you, and not a single American soldier will survive the attack. Doesn't sound to me like those are words that are non-fighting words. That's something that's
that doesn't sound like a ceasefire at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like a ceasefire either. So I don't know what's happening. But Seth and I have talked on the show at length about I call the memorandum of misunderstanding, which had so many things that had to happen before peace was declared, and it looks like it never even got off the ground. Nothing happened with that whatsoever. So, speaking of critters under the ground, there was a new species of fish discovered on Redstone Arsenal. It's in a cave out there.
I saw this article.
Yeah.
And it's for you Stranger Things fans, you're going to love the name. But I'm going to let Bill pronounce.
It's the demon cave fish.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
It's because it looks like a demigorgon.
What pray tell is that?
It's half demon, half human.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what that fish looks
half.
like. That is indeed what that fish does look like. The guy found it in a cave out on Redstone Arsenal. I've done many, many things in my life out on Redstone Arsenal, but the last thing I've ever done or would even think about doing is going into a cave to look for fish. I'm just not a cave person, by the way, so not going to happen. Today, the Huntsville City Council is going to vote tonight on what we spoke with Bill Kling about earlier in this week, and that is the tax increment financing district to help upgrade major things, especially in the Von Braun Civic Center. So we'll see if that happens. It's going to generate $220 million worth of revenue for improvements in downtown. And it's called a tax instrument funding, but it does not require any more taxes. So how they're going to pull that rabbit out of their hat, I really don't know, but they're going to vote on it tonight. And we'll see if it actually happens and actually comes true. I would like to think that it will. So that's big news in the city of Huntsville. And I do believe we have Jordan on the line.
No, we have the Dwyers are on the line. They are our next guest on The Point with Bill Crawford. They are on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. I was going to suggest, why don't we go ahead and go to commercial, and we'll bring them on and give them a couple extra minutes because they've got a great thing that they do, and I'd love for them to have plenty of time.
Okay, hey, and just look at the Fox 54 weather app, and you can see Jordan's work. We'll be back in a bit.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the Valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
Bill Crawford here for the Regenesis Stem Cell Center, the place to go for golfers' elbow pain. Traditional treatments require significant time away from the golf course and often don't work. Dr. Charles Lee can treat golfers' elbow using platelet-rich plasma extracted from the patient's blood and get you back on the golf course after a 2-hour visit. Golfers' elbow can be permanently eliminated for a fixed price of $585. Golf season is here. Enjoy pain-free golf with just one visit to Regenesis.
Tom Abraham here for my good friend Bobby White at Lynn Leighton Ford, where you never find some mysterious dock fee that could be like $600, $700, or $800. A dock fee is an add-on that some dealers will charge just to do the paperwork on your deal. Now, Wes and I just bought F-150s at Lynn Leighton, and we're amazed at the ease of getting the deal done. Transparency is important in buying these days, and that's what you get at Lynn Leighton Ford in Decatur. Lynn Leighton offers an extensive new and pre-owned inventory, as well as lease specials, finance options, and expert auto service. They are dedicated to providing exceptional customer service and are an integral part of our community. Believe me, it is worth the short ride over to Decatur to see what Lynn Leighton Ford has to offer, just a mile west of the Beltline on 6th. At Lynn Leighton, there are no mystery fees, just great prices. It's the Lynn Leighton way. We made the move, and so should you, to Lynn Leighton Ford.
This summer, we make HVAC history as Sensagreen Heating, Cooling, and Insulation celebrates our country's 250th birthday. Happy birthday, America! In honor of crossing the Delaware River and kicking Cornwallis out of Yorktown, Sensagreen now offers $1,776 off new HVAC systems. Give me liberty and a new HVAC smart system this summer at Sensagreen with Brian. Whatever it takes, just like our founding fathers. USA! USA! USA!
Alabama license number 12705/52808.
Looking for your next great round of golf? Take the short drive from the Tennessee Valley to the Bear Trace at Tim's Ford in Winchester. This spectacular Jack Nicklaus designed 18-hole course sits along scenic Tim's Ford Lake, featuring rolling fairways, challenging greens, and lake views that'll make the trip well worth it. Whether you're planning a weekly foursome, a company outing, or just sneaking in around, Bear Trace offers one of the best public golf experiences in the region. Book your tee time today at tnstateparks.com and play the Bear Trace at Tim's Ford.
This is Jen with The Haven, a private event space located downtown Huntsville. If you haven't been before, this is the perfect spot for your event. Whether it's Christmas, the holidays, birthdays, weddings, rehearsal dinners, you name it, I can provide that perfect event for you. We tailor everything just for your needs, from food to flowers to the band to drinks. You name it, we've got it. The Haven, located at Meridian Crossings, downtown Huntsville.
Welcome to Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market in Huntsville. From hand-cut premium steaks and chef-crafted Southern favorites to phenomenal made-from-scratch desserts and restaurant-quality meats you can take home. Every meal is made with passion and served with genuine Southern hospitality. Join us for lunch or dinner. Attend a monthly 5-course supper club or stop by to stock up your grill. You'll see that we deliver excellence from prep to plate. Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market, corner of Highway 72 East and Jordan Road. Come taste the difference.
Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Talk Radio WZZN, and this is The Point with Bill Crawford, and we are glad you are listening to us today. If you have anything you'd like to chat with us about or our guest, give us a call at 256-382-0724. And now we are joined by our next guest, and that is the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation. And Gail, are you with us?
I am, and I also have my
I guess I have to call you my better half.
Oh.
Steve is here. So you have both of us today, Bill.
Well, that is great, and two of my favorite people in the world. And before we get into the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation discussion, I want to let our listeners know just a little bit about how we know each other. Steve is my classmate from West Point. And Gail Dwyer was in the second class of West Point with women. And after her completion of Beast Barracks, she showed up. I'll never forget the day I went to my room in Company F2 and looked at the room next to me and saw Gail Dwyer's picture on the little card thing we used to have on our door, her and Linda West. And I was their assistant squad leader. And I was going, holy mackerel, I'm going to have to do my thing with women. I'm going to have to be a good leader to these young ladies. And that was very easy to do because Gail and Linda were such superb cadets. And
Superb. I like that, superb.
So, well, it's true. And Steve and I have gone back forever. We flew helicopters together. We studied together many a late night at West Point when I was out there handing out the golden information on some of the classes we took. And then later on in life, when Steve and Gail lived here, Gail was the Military Academy Liaison Officer, which is the person who helps young people get into West Point, and Gail was very instrumental in setting my son Barrett on the path into the Military Academy, for which I will be forever grateful. Anything either one of you two would like to add to that little descriptive there?
Well, Bill, I had an overall very positive experience at West Point, and I attribute it to the people in F2, and you were a great part of that, so we appreciate it. And Barrett is, as you know, awesome, and I didn't do anything to help him except to tell him what he needed to be doing. So he's just a great kid. You and Ann did very well with Barrett.
Well, and as you now are aware, he will be off to be a mathematics professor in a year or so.
That's wonderful. Isn't that great? Yeah, hard to believe.
Very proud of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an easy lift. He's a good kid. I remember when he took his APFT. CFA, whatever that physical fitness test. Yeah, he came ready, man.
Well, the little funny story about that, Steve, and Gail, I hope you don't mind me telling this, but there was a run involved with that, and I was sitting there talking to Gail, and I'm going to try to do your Boston accent, and Gail came up to me and said, Billy, these kids aren't really putting out unless they hurl when they finish the run. And as if on command, Barrett had just finished the run, and he stopped right in front of Gail and I, and he let it fly. And she said, yeah, Billy, he really put out on that one.
That's how you can tell. And according to her, that whole idea has been permeated through, she coached cross country in 2 different schools, and then she also coached the marathon team when we were back at West Point, the women's marathon team. And every one of the people that's ever been under her tutelage recites that if you're crossing the finish line and you're not throwing up, you didn't try hard enough. So imagine being her husband.
I'm not sure if I'm proud of that.
Well, I can tell you guys, and I'm sure you're well aware of this, for virtually every PT test, physical fitness test I ever took in my life, I never experienced that because I never tried that hard. Passing the thing was good enough for me. So it's good to talk to you guys, and the reason I wanted to talk to you again is as we seem to be going in and out of conflict. That's an unfortunate thing, and that is also one of the reasons why your Gold Star Foundation, the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation, might come into play. So tell us a little bit, and our listeners, I know we have new listeners on all the time. Tell us a little bit about the inception of the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation and how that was motivated by your loss, which you're turning into a positive a thing as you can.
Yeah, well, thanks for this opportunity, Bill. We really appreciate it. So we lost our oldest son, Steve, who was an Army aviator, on November 10, 2023. He and his 4 crew members died in a helicopter crash when they were deployed over the Mediterranean Sea near Cyprus. Steve was in the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and he left behind 3 little boys who were 3, 5, and 7 at the time, and there were a total of 6 kids who were left fatherless in that accident. And we wanted to honor Steve. Steve was very special. We knew we needed to do something. We wanted to do something to honor him. And we tried to figure out what that would be. And we knew how important sports and fitness were to him and how important it was for his boys to continue with their sports. And they were playing basketball at the time, and sports were very important to little Steve. And watching his boys, he told me quite often that he felt like he learned more playing football in high school than he did in any chemistry class. So he attributed a lot of life lessons to sports. And we wanted to make sure that Gold Star kids who had lost a parent, a military member parent, while serving on active duty, had the opportunity to continue to play sports and do fitness activities. And so we founded the Dwight Fire Gold Star Foundation in February 2024. And it was not simply our brainchild. It was our son, Timmy, who was the president. He's a West Point 2011 grad. And our other son, Chris, and Maria, our daughter, were all involved with a lot of family and friends who came up with this idea. So what we do is we support Gold Star children by providing $1,000 a year for sports and fitness activities. And for the past 2 years, we've been able to fund summer sports camps as well. And we do this as volunteers, and we are only able to do it thanks to the empathy and kindness and generosity of our donors. So that's about
how many do we have?
It. We currently have 66 Gold Star children enrolled in the program, and we have another 41 enrolled on the wait list. And I know since we last talked, we've enrolled a few more kids, and our wait list has grown. Word among the Gold Star families gets out quickly, and we're grateful for that. But when we enroll a kid, we enroll kids, we support them from ages 5 to 18. So we want to dedicate the funds. When we enroll a kid who's 8, we don't want to only be able to support him for 2 years. We want to have dedicated funds to support that kid through age 18. So we wait now until, next year, probably January, when we'll relook funds and relook the wait list and obviously try to enroll more kids. But our goal is to take the 66 kids we currently have enrolled through age 18. We can do that for 2/3 of them right now, but we still need to continue to fundraise and be able to support them all through age 18.
Now, let me ask a question about that, because, I now contribute to this monthly. I should have done it years ago, but glad I'm doing it now. But when you say you have to wait to accept another child, do you have to have the funding in hand to take them through the program in its entirety from age 5 through 18? Or how does that work? Or you just need the money there for the first year? Tell us a little bit about your need in that.
Well, what we're doing now is when we do enroll a kid, we'll enroll the Gold Star child for 2 years, a minimum of 2 years. But our goal, I'm one of those people who likes to keep all the money in a shoebox under the bed, right? Our goal is to make sure that when we do enroll a kid, we are able to bring them through 18. That's our goal. We are not there right now. For our 66 kids, we're getting there. We're close. And we're not there for the wait list kids. But I do know that in January, we have a fundraiser in November. We're doing a golf tournament in Little Rock, and we're hoping that we can pull in enough money for that fundraiser to make sure that in January we're able to take kids off the wait list and enroll them for a minimum of 2 years. Does that make sense?
That does indeed. So essentially, when you, if I'm understanding the numbers correctly, when you have a kid and you have a $2,000 stake there, that's 2 years, and you can go ahead and put them in then. Is that kind of correct?
That is kind of correct. That's exactly correct. That's right.
So let me ask you this: Do you have any outreach or any hope or any desire to get corporate sponsorships on this, or are you pretty much totally relying on individuals such as me?
we would love corporate sponsorships. We try when we have, when we have the opportunity, when we have the opening, when we think we see a possibility. We've got actually a daughter of a classmate of yours, Katie Constanza.
She knows CC Constanza.
We call Kenny Constanza, cadet candidate CC Constanza. I don't know why we've called him that for years, because he went to prep school with my husband. But Katie is our strategic development, and she reaches out to different corporations. So absolutely, if anyone has any insights or connections, we would definitely put Katie in touch with them and try to do that. We're fortunate, and I'll give a shout out to Instacart. We're fortunate Memorial Day, two of the women who work for Instacart are both spouses of 160th aviators, West Point grads, and they reached out to us and gave us the opportunity to talk to the Instacart military engagement community on Memorial Day. And since then, we've had great response from Instacart employees, which is super for us, because if you donate $10 to Instacart a month, they will double it and we'll get $20. So I always say, if 10 people donate $10 a month, we can support one Gold Star child for a year.
Well, that is a very good idea, and I will get with you after this via email probably with some ideas on that, because I think, as you and Steve might know, there ought to be some entities up in this neck of the woods that would be more than willing to assist with that. And along those lines, is there any help or support from any, like the VA? Are they able to help y'all guys with anything?
No, I don't think they contribute to nonprofits like ours, not that I know of anyway.
What we've found, Crawdad, is that if the VA, the second largest budget in the government, is woefully inadequate on supporting veterans, especially Gold Star families. So there's a lot of nonprofits that have popped up, and there's a lot of coverage there. You just have to mine it. It's almost an everyday thing to just keep your ear to the ground, try to figure out who you can get help from. Gail spends most of her day connecting with corporations that have, a charitable piece of what they do, and she tries to get them to give us some funding. But the problem is you have to have done this for 2 years before they'll even look at you. So we're sort of, we're in the second part of the.
Yeah,
I guess we're in the second year.
Yeah, this is the first year we've been able to apply for a lot of the grants. And what we've found is some family foundations have been amazingly generous, and that, you just have to kind of find them. But Steve's right. You've got to have 2 years of 990s filed with the IRS before most organizations will look at you. And we're there now. So we're just volunteers, and we spend some time on the internet searching for grants and doing the best we can.
Well, let me ask you a question just to pull the thread a little bit further on something Steve just said, and that is the fact that Steve's comment, sort of paraphrased, was that the Veterans Administration is not really good on Gold Star families. I would think that's counterintuitive. I would think that would be one of the things they'd want to be waving as their shining banner, that we help people in this scenario. But why is that, Steve? What's your take on that?
I'm going to pop in on this for him because not that he has a VA attitude, but I would say that the VA provides DIC, what is it, indemnity, something, compensation. And so that the Gold Star families receive a amount of money every month, an allotment every month. I'm not sure if allotment's the right word. It's not.
It's a little mint.
They receive money every month from the VA. So, like, for example, our daughter-in-law and her 3 boys do receive some money every month from the VA, and I'm not sure how they figure out what that is. And there are other benefits that the VA does give as far as education when the kids are older. But what we've found in our personal experience as a Gold Star family, as most of the benefits come from nonprofits. Tunnels to Towers, the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. There's so many nonprofits that do so much for these Gold Star families. And Department of War and VA, not so much. I mean, if we could change anything, I think we would change the survivor benefit program, the survivor benefit plan that Gold Star families receive the money they receive. And that's the Department of War. I don't know who that comes from. Who does that come from?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
So here's a good example. Crawford.
Okay, go.
New Jersey State Police. Now I'm working on a nonprofit board where there's a retired New Jersey State policeman, and he said that if a New Jersey State policeman dies in the line of duty, they get everything that they would have gotten for the rest of their life. So nothing changes for that family. The Army, when Steve died on the 10th of November, they stopped his pay, completely stopped. It was another 3 weeks before they got what they call a death gratuity. So for 3 weeks, they got no money.
It's supposed to be paid within 72 hours, but there was a problem.
Yeah, it was a problem on their end. And of course, they blamed Allie. They blamed her for the number the routing number they gave on the checks. So then they, in March, so he died in November. In March, they figured out how much they were going to pay her. And it was, so he would, if he retired, he would have X amount. So retiring, they were going to give him 50%.
No, 0.55 times 0.75. So if you die on active duty, they give you 0.55% of your highest three average. The average of the three highest years base pay times 0.55 times 0.75.
It ended up being $28,000 a year. So.
And she couldn't work anymore, and that's it. So, I mean, she couldn't work for a while. She eventually went back to work. Now, if Steve had medically retired from the Army after 15 years, she would, and then a medical retirement, like if you medically retire from the Army, you just get 0.75% of your base pay, right? Your three highest. But because, and you assume it is. And you assume that you're going to get another job.
Well, they said to her in the briefing, we were there, they said he would have gotten 50% had he retired, but since he died, you only get this much. That's exactly how they explained it to her. Now, we laid all this out to Tony Tata, the Under Secretary of Defense, Class 81, and, they all know it. It's not like they don't know it. There's another organization trying to get before Congress to figure this out. But I don't think America knows how poorly Gold Star wives are compensated. I'm not saying that, they should be rich, but I think the New Jersey State Police probably have a pretty good way of doing it. This person died in the service of their country. Let's just keep the benefits going.
Well, now let me ask you this, Steve. I got to jump in here for a second. This is not for Math Professor Barrett. This is me. So you have 0.55 times 0.75. In my simple mind, that reduces the 0.55. Is that correct? Am I doing the math right?
Yeah, you're nailing it. And it's base pay. He was an aviator. He had BAQ, all that. She worked. And all of a sudden, she's not working anymore. Who's going to take care of the kids? He's gone. So think of the cut from where they were. And had Tunnel for Towers not come in and paid off their house, they would have literally been in the street. Now, of course, we wouldn't have let them do that. But it's really, just think of the connections that you and I have to help her. There were 4 other people in that crash. 3 of them were enlisted guys. They did not get the same focus and attention as Steve got, even the W-2 that was with Steve. So, and then the 4 that were killed out at Fort Lewis, a year later, they didn't get all this focus. So it's happening. The guy the Navy commander who just got killed, off the coast there in the Persian Gulf. What's his family going through? This happens a lot, and there's nobody that's really working it. So, and we would have known it if it hadn't happened to us. Anyway, that's kind of why we put together this. Sports are really expensive. I mean, you take somebody in a lacrosse and you raise them from age 6 to 18, it's over $100,000 to just play lacrosse. And, all our kids, our grandkids all want to do everything. So $1,000 is really a drop in the bucket for paying for sports. But what they also found is sports keep kids from, getting in trouble. Without one of the parents in the house, they can go down the wrong road. So this is also helping, the socialization of the children as they grow up. It's not just because, we like sports, but.
And we evaluate that. We have to assess that for metrics. So we use Dr. Kenneth Ginsburg's theory of resilience, and we measure with semi-annual progress reports of the parents of the kids who we support, and we measure connection, confidence, competence, and character, so that we've got specific results that we can say, listen, this is helping these kids. We're not just giving them money to help the parents, financially. This is enhancing the resilience of these kids, and they need this.
Oh, well, I hate to say this, but my arch enemy, which is the clock staring right at me, has got me. So please let our listeners know how they can help you guys out with the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation. I'm certain you have a web address. I know because I've used it.
Yeah, she's panicking. Right?
Panicking. So it's the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation. I always have hold on 1 second.
Normally we have a little QR code, but.
I know. I usually do have the QR code. It's the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation.org. And there's lots of information on the website, and please, reach out to, there's an info page, there's a donate page, and there's Steve's story, which, if nothing else, we love to share Steve's story because he was special, and I know he'd be glad to see us honoring him this way.
Well, hey, I'll do anything I can to help you guys. I'll have you back on again, and I admire you for what you do, and thank you much for your time. And, Brian, let's go ahead and get out of here. That's Steve and Gail Dwyer with the Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation. Thanks for coming on.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
This is Bill Crawford, host of The Point on Talk Radio WZZN. I've recently had a stem cell procedure on my right knee from Dr. Charles Lee of Regenesis. Stem cells are harvested from your body and re-administered back into your body. This approach is painless, quick, and requires no lengthy rehab. My knee feels better already. Regenesis is located at 4025 Pepperwood Circle Southwest, Suite C, Huntsville, Alabama. Call 256-715-8193 or Google their website for more information.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the Valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
At the Huntsville Sports Commission, we do sports. The Rocket City is your destination for world-class sports in North Alabama. The Huntsville Sports Commission brings elite tournaments, championships, and other exciting athletic events to our city. From youth leagues to national championships, we're driving tourism, boosting local business, and building a stronger, more active community. When you team up with us, we'll worry about the details so you don't have to. We do sports.
Baumhauer's Restaurant, legendary food and legendary fun. Whether you're craving the freshest seafood from Alabama's Gulf Coast, juicy chicken or char-grilled steaks seared to suck into perfection, you're craving Baumhauer's Restaurant. Add to that a sports-themed atmosphere and HD flat screens every place you look. For a sneak peek at the menu, go to baumhauers.com. Legendary food, legendary fun. Baumhauer's Restaurant.
When a team sticks together, it shows in the way they work and the way they treat you.
We don't just hire great people, they stay. On average, our managers have been with us over 15 years, and company-wide turnover is under 3%.
It's a culture built on integrity and heart.
When you call, you get someone who knows your name, understands your business, and is invested in your success.
And that means service you can count on every time.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
This is Jen with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Y'all need to come join us. We have so many fun things every night of the week. From Monday night, steak night, Tuesday night, karaoke, Wednesday night, we have Singo Bingo, Thursday night is bike night. Of course, we've got live music on the weekends, so y'all come join us. Meridian Street Crossing, we've got Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Come on next door to the Rocket City Honky Tonk, where we've got honky tonk music all night long. Y'all come join us. We'd love to see you.
Your Fox 54 update.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible, but not everybody's going to get wet. We drop into the lower 70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Friday. Again, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s with the opportunity for a couple of passing showers.
Your Fox 54 forecast. Only on Talk Radio WZZN.
How about that, Jordan? You like a little bit of Billy Preston, the first musical guest on Saturday Night Live. Brian, is that Jordan on the phone?
It is. Hey, Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
I had no idea about that. I was wondering about the music because the music was different than what I normally hear.
Well, you know,
but now I'm going to take that obscure fact and hopefully win trivia night somewhere at some point.
Well, this is a callback to something we were talking about while you were stuck in your meeting. Is we were talking about cutting your pay, and I said, you know, how can you cut a zero in half? And so, of course, nothing from nothing. And so now it's your theme song.
Yeah.
We're cutting your zero in half for being late.
You know what? That's fine. I'll take it.
But we will also forgive you for being late and are glad you are with us now. So how long are we going to have this pattern? Hot in the morning and thunders. Well, let me ask you this. In general, why do the thunderstorms build in the afternoon? Is that just the way it is in July and at the beach, or is that an unusual phenomenon for here?
No, this is totally normal. You know that this happens every year. It's hot, it's humid, it's hot and sunny in the morning. It gets a little more tolerable in the afternoon, but it only gets more tolerable somewhere. And it's more of an inconvenience, you know, than it is anything else. And it's always interesting the way it storms in the summer. You know, I have literally seen it, you know, storm at the Costco, but it's dry over Fox 54. You know, for those unaware, Fox 54 is right next to the Costco.
Yeah, and I've seen it raining at your building and not raining at ours, and we're in the same block.
We're even closer than I am to the Costco. I have to get to your building before I can even get to the Costco.
Well, that is indeed true. So I guess this pattern is going to go on for quite some time. Yeah,
fairly long. You know, we usually end up dealing with this pattern through mid to late August. And, you know, it's never going to rain in the exact same spot every day. You know, the folks over in Decatur, they could go a week and a half without any rain, while the folks in Madison, they get rain for a week and a half straight. Honestly, it's just the luck of the draw and how you feel about getting the rain. On one hand, those of us that are getting the rain, we don't have to run our sprinklers, which I suppose saves you a few bucks.
You know, I saw something the other day, and I was wanting to see if you saw it on your radar. It's something, you said Decatur, made me think of it, where they were actually seeing flocks of birds show up on the radar just because there was such a concentration of them over there near the Wheeler Wildlife Refuge. Have you ever seen something like that?
I have, and where that most commonly happens is with tropical events, because a lot of times birds will get trapped in the eye of a hurricane, where the weather is calm and sunny and beautiful.
Right.
And so they're trapped there, and those birds will then show up on the radar because there can be hundreds or thousands of them.
Yeah. You think it was a neighborhood pond in Madison? There were so many birds.
And there's no geese.
I heard the geese are coming back.
Well, of course they are. Well, I mean, for generations of birds, they do this. And if you'll watch, you'll see maybe not the same birds, the same types of birds in different times of the year. Because, I mean, cardinals will do their winters here and then move up further north as it gets warmer. So that's one reason we get a lot of cardinals down this far south. But you'll see different types of birds at different times of the year because they all migrate, and the geese are no different.
Well, the swallows always seem to return to Capistrano, if I recall that correctly. So tell us about your fourth. What all happened? Did you have a good one?
It was a fantastic fourth. And let me tell you, the one thing I did, and I hadn't done this before. Now, I'd done the weather from an HCFC game before, but I had never actually been for a game. And myself and Mrs. Dressman, when we decided we were going to go for the 5th of July, I guess, they had fireworks. And really, I don't know if either of you have ever been out there for a game, but I was disappointed in the lack of a crowd. We had a great time out there. The folks that work out there, they're incredibly nice. Their food and drink options are vast and very reasonably priced, I might add. We had a great time, and I was, Mrs. Dressman and I were talking about how do we get more people to understand that HCFC games are a great time, and there is no reason their stands should not be full for all of their home games.
I spent some time. I spent some time for a couple of years on the Skolberg crew right after they opened up, and it was amazing all the crowds we saw. But then, as we got into the second season, you could start seeing it dissipate, and so I wonder if it's just the usual Huntsville fade on anything sports related. Everybody's all about it and white hot on it for a year or two, and they're just kind of like, whatever.
Well, I'm hoping, maybe the World Cup could get some people reinvigorated about soccer because, like I said, we had a great time out there.
It was a fantastic time.
Well, I have to think that if you weren't seeing a crowd with all this World Cup stuff going on, that's not a good indication for the future of soccer in Huntsville, Alabama. Now, are you a soccer fan, or did you just say, I just want to go out there and see what the heck is going on?
Or are you burnt out with it being on your TV station so much?
Listen, I am tired of it being on TV. I have had many late nights because the World Cup runs so late. I have not seen my wife at the regularly scheduled hour in several weeks now.
Well, tapping her watch at you, is she?
Not yet.
Well, there you go.
I am not normally super big into soccer, so we just went because they had fireworks and it seemed like something fun to do on a Sunday evening, and the weather was nice.
Yeah, well, and Bill and I have talked a couple of times. It's fun just to go to something, even if you're not that into the sport. If you're a people watcher and you like to eat junk food, you can have a good time at any one of those places. And
That's very true.
And if you get the chance to go to an SEC football game, go. You might never see the game, but you'll have a blast.
Also true.
Well, I am glad well, just out of curiosity, I haven't been yet. I probably need to go. Can one find a hot dog and a cold beer out there?
You can find both of those things, and I must say, I believe you can find them cheaper than you can at a lot of the other sport venues in the city. And the hot dog was delicious, and the beer was cold. And that's
Message
really all
received. Message received.
Well, you got to have a hot dog. That's all there is to it. And, when I go to the Trash Pandas, they're proud of their hot dogs, but they're big hot dogs, too. So
they've got a lot to be proud of.
They got a lot to be proud of. So anything in the weather horizon that's coming up other than heat, heat and rain in the afternoon, is that going to be it for a while?
Yeah, that's basically going to be it. The only minor tweak I'm making this weekend is that the rain could be a little more widespread. So your overall chances of getting the rain over your house this weekend are going to go up a little bit. So take note of that. It's not going to be a bad weekend, but your odds of getting rain over your house are going to be a little bit higher.
Well, I thank you, and the Ollie the Wonder Dog thanks you for saying that about the weather, because she's pretty much she's tired of the fireworks and she's tired of the thunderstorms. So she's ready for something to be nice and quiet and hopefully not get rain over her house.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. So what's going on the grill this weekend, Jordan, if anything?
Oh, I don't know what I'm putting on the grill yet. I did end up doing a butt last weekend. Came out perfect. I was very pleased with it.
Oh, very nice.
But this weekend, what are you putting on your grill? You got any good ideas?
Well, I'm going to be on vacation this weekend, so I'm probably going to go to a grill that I'm paying someone to operate to serve me some good food, some seafood, hopefully. But no, I got a new grill, and for the 4th of July, I whipped that thing out and cooked about, 30 hamburgers, 30 hot dogs, and it worked just fine and dandy. But man, was it hot. So no ideas, nothing from none of the bizarre meats from Star Market or anything like that. I would say my recommendation, as always, is going to be a good old ribeye steak. Can't go wrong with that.
Well, I cheated. I cheated for 4th of July. I went and got takeout Full Moon Barbecue, and I used the zone deals we have on our website. And, no one had any complaints, and I didn't have to stand out and eat and cook. So, there's no shame in that, really.
No, none at all.
No, none at all.
All right, well, Brian, we ready to take a break?
Yeah, well, Jordan, thanks for coming on. Bill's going to big time us, so you and I will not meet next week, but we will be back the following week on Thursday, barring your news director or general manager stepping in and calling another staff meeting. We'll meet here at our usual time on Fridays. If you need a quick check on Jordan's forecast and news and updates and everything in sports too, check out the Morning Rush on the Fox 54 app. That's a great way to get set up on national and world and local news, weather and sports, all of that in a quick, convenient package right there. And if weather's coming in, you can do a lot worse on the Fox 54 app. Jordan's got a forecast and lots of information there. Turn the notifications on so Jordan can help keep you safe. Jordan, thanks a bunch, buddy.
Of course. I will talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Right,
we'll see you, and we'll go ahead and take a break and come back and wrap this thing up.
You're listening to The Point with Bill Crawford on Talk Radio WZZN.
Take it right to the edge with Donato's Pizza. That's right, with Donato's, they don't waste any space. And if you're going to put 100 slices of pepperoni on a pizza, you need to go edge to edge. And that provolone cheese is smoked and aged in Wisconsin. All of Donato's produce comes from right here in the Tennessee Valley as well. And Donato's is more than just pizza. Check out the subs, calzones, and wings as well. 2 locations in the Valley to serve you, in Madison on Madison Boulevard and in Huntsville on the South Parkway. Donato's Pizza.
Bill Crawford here for the Regenesis Stem Cell Center, the place to go for golfers' elbow pain. Traditional treatments require significant time away from the golf course and often don't work. Dr. Charles Lee can treat golfers' elbow using platelet-rich plasma extracted from the patient's blood and get you back on the golf course after a 2-hour visit. Golfer's elbow can be permanently eliminated for a fixed price of $585. Golf season is here. Enjoy pain-free golf with just one visit to Regenesis.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
We have been selling printer supplies for 50 years. Today, we've made it easier than ever to make sure our customers get the best price and the best support.
You can order supplies online with our guaranteed low prices, saving 40% and getting our award-winning on-site service for free.
There's no catch. Ask any of our customers. We want to be more than just a vendor. We want to be a partner in your success.
This is Jen with The Haven, a private event space located downtown Huntsville. If you haven't been before, this is the perfect spot for your event. Whether it's Christmas, the holidays, birthdays, weddings, rehearsal dinners, you name it, I can provide that perfect event for you. We tailor everything just for your needs, from food to flowers to the band to drinks. You name it, we've got it. The Haven, located at Meridian Crossings, downtown Huntsville.
Welcome to Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market in Huntsville. From hand-cut premium steaks and chef-crafted Southern favorites to phenomenal made-from-scratch desserts and restaurant-quality meats you can take home. Every meal is made with passion and served with genuine Southern hospitality. Join us for lunch or dinner. Attend a monthly 5-course supper club or stop by to stock up your grill. You'll see that we deliver excellence from prep to plate. Southern Wagyu Steakhouse and Meat Market, corner of Highway 72 East and Jordan Road. Come taste the difference.
Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
And I'm still hoping, waiting, praying I did not die in vain.
Everybody, thanks for tuning us in this week on The Point with Bill Crawford and producer extraordinaire Brian Temple. We're going to be here with you next week in the best of format, and Brian will put that together. We got a lot of good stuff you can listen to. And
there's a lot of good stuff. We've been doing this since January 20th.
Right.
And so we've got 7 months of stuff, 6-7 months of stuff to go back and look at. So I'm going to pick out some shows and bring those to you next week. And you'll hear the best of this week starting tomorrow at our regular time at 2 o'clock here on Talk Radio WZZN.
There you go. And by the way, folks, if you want to go back and listen to some of that stuff, just go to our website, talkradiowzzn.com, click podcast, view episodes, and just scroll down. They're all there, and you can pick the ones you like the best. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed listening to Seth Burton. He's a great guy. Love to hear his comments. Trash Pandas tonight, Brian, or not?
Yes, sir. Chattanooga Lookouts are in town all this week. And they've got a lot of fun things coming up this week at Toyota Field. Catch them tonight, starting at 6:20. We'll be on the air with Josh Carey and the gang on Talk Radio WZZN. First pitch around 6:35, so if you got something going on, please tune in by then. Listen anywhere you go with the Talk Radio WZZN app. Get it in your app store.
And keep our soldiers and sailors and all our servicemen in your thoughts and prayers. We'll be back. This is Bill Crawford, and I'm out.
Y'all look out for each other, would you?
And defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
This is Talk Radio